They'll blanket you in Wi-Fi and profit off the radiation. Congregation collecting the people for that Satan. I keeps it blazing, cause I can read between the lines. I ain't blind, we unwind what they're really saying. Genetically modify what you're tasting. Don't need that cottage promise, so now you live up in your mom's basement. Redesign time so your mind is always wasted. Program to crave the basics. Keep the beta in stasis. Pay the state, kid. You're in debt for being born. Messengers are mourn, just the price for being warned. Don't be alarmed, disconnect from their machinations. Stop subscribing to the folly of own nations. Bone breaking ain't the answer, cause they seek the ownership of souls. Spread the seeds and watch them grow. Break the chains of control. Break the chains of control.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Tonight on Rogueways, it is my pleasure to hang with one of the realest, someone who somehow matches my own irreverence, which is a feat in and of itself. A dude who knows the true space of his soul and isn't afraid to match it to the raw energy of this time on Earth, and someone leading the way through his thoughts, speech, and deeds, and through his show, Raised by Giants, the man, the myth, the legend, Ryder Lee. Welcome to Rogueways. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Lindsay. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. We're going to have a great time. I can feel it in my bones.
Yeah, we talked not too far back on your show, which was also very nice that I got to be on your show, Raised by Giants, as well. And if people haven't checked that out, they should go do it. And I do want to tell all the Rogue Warriors listening, watching, sharing, liking, subscribing, there are so many of you out there, and I love all of you. I'm so grateful for you and all you do to help Rogue Ways continue and to share in this love that we're creating here. So thanks for being here and being you. And I'm really excited to offer a few new things coming up. And so I just want everyone to know this one's not as exciting to me, but I'm doing it anyway. And it's TikTok. So if you're on TikTok or you like TikTok, find me. I'm at Rogue Ways. I'm doing little bits there now as well. And then coming up in November, god damn, it's November already. Starting in November, in just a few days, actually, I'm going to be doing twice a week meditations. If you catch the meditations that I ever do on this channel, you know how deep they are. They are soul guided. They are channeled from source, and they bring us to fantastic healing, manifestation, and clarity and insight and upliftment. So if you want to get those more regularly, twice a week, you can have those just for subscribers, and that is its own subscription. It's not Rockfin subscription or Subscribestar subscription. It's its own thing. So go to the site, rogueways.org, find the monthly meditation subscription, and join in, and you can get those for twice a week meditations. They're like 15 minutes to 40 minutes. It's seriously just channeled from source, so I don't know ahead of time what's going to happen. Again, if you've been there, you know how really powerful those are. So I wanted to offer that to anybody out there who would like to do it more regularly and really get deeper and go further. And then finally, if you want even more than that, the Brighter You experience is available to you. This is a 6-week course to uplift, unlock, and unleash your spiritual power. This is by popular demand. People are constantly, I have all sorts of courses that I've been offering in classes and one-on-one work I do with people, and now it is all together in one place. If you want to do the 6-week course, that is also on the site, rogueways.org. You can apply. January will be the next session, so if you want to get ready and apply now, you can join us in January for that 6-week Brighter You course, and you can find all about it on the site. So go check it out. Finally, the pointless question of the episode, Ryder. What the fuck is a MAGA Cockzilla, and how was it birthed into this world?
Well, I just want to comment really quick about your TikTok. It seems that you've been taken over by the CCP now.
Me?
Lindsay, yes, and you're involved in blood ritual sacrifice to make TikTok go off. So yeah, congratulations.
Right. Thank you. Recently I learned that I was a Vatican Pope emissary sent to suppress child sexual abuse trauma or something. And now you're right. Now I work for the CCP. I forgot.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I actually have been sent here by Satan to deceive the masses into not believing in Christianity and Jesus. So, we're in the same boat here. It's unbelievable.
We're really good at things that we didn't even know we were doing. I'm very impressed with us.
Yeah, we're making waves in the community. But MAGA Cockzilla. So me and Chris, Me and Chris Matthew, we talk all the time, and
Chris,
send
of
each
course,
other.
is on Forbidden Knowledge News for those who
Yeah,
may
yeah.
not know.
And we just started, bro talking like we do when we bro down, and he mentioned he mentioned something like MAGA Cockzilla, and I was like, oh shit, that's so golden. And then, well, it was Mega Cockzilla first, right? And I was like, okay, well, I need to change this up and make a meme about it and make it really, fucking funny.
Spicy. It's a spicy meme.
Yeah, had to spice it up a little bit, and I started with the Mega Cockzilla, and I was like, okay, well, something's missing here. I need to do something different. So I was like, okay, I need to put a Trump toupee on him, So then I put the Trump toupee on him, and I was like, okay,
Trump
he
is
needs
very Cockzilla-y. It's a really good. Yeah, I understand.
He's got that Mega Cockzilla energy.
He does.
And I was like, okay, well, he needs a Trump flag in there, and then he needs to be breathing fire out of his mouth and burning an American flag. So I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, the title's got to be different too. And then I was like, what can I need? I was like, MAGA Cockzilla. Make America great again, Cockzilla. He's going to save us all. I'm telling you, whenever we summon him from the Sahara Desert to attack China for getting back at us for the thing.
The thing.
Yeah.
The thing that shall not be named yet.
Then we will all be united and everything will be okay. But we have to there's a system that we have to do, right? These cave robbing grave goblins have got all of the trumpets to summon MAGA Cockzilla from under the Sahara Desert, right? Chris Matthew has one right now that he's torturing in his basement to get the information to where to find the seventh trumpet, because we have all the trumpets. We just can't track down that last one.
You're doing
God's
work.
We blow all of them simultaneously. Yeah, whenever we blow all of them simultaneously, MAGA Cockzilla will arise from the bottom of the Sahara Desert and free us all. So that's what we're really waiting on.
It's really, I didn't realize the lore and like the depth of it that you guys had constructed with this, and you could go anywhere with this. You can make a video game, you could do comics, like the world is your oyster.
Yeah, I actually had a whole detailed scenario of the apocalypse planned out for me and Chris whenever it happens, and inevitably everything collapses because it's coming. But yeah, it was really freaking funny. I wish I would have recorded it and sent it to him. I gave him the cliff notes, but it involved me and him riding on the back of a motorcycle together, and he had 2 American flags strapped to his chest while we were blaring AC/DC and Kid Rock, and we're jumping fucking craters and killing fucking octopuses and saving the world. It was a beautiful thing. I couldn't recreate it if I could. It was in a spare of the moment deal, but I think it's going to happen. I believe in it and I trust in it, and it's going to be great. We're going to survive. Dude,
I'll fund it somehow. We'll make this happen. Like this is gonna happen.
Yeah, we're gonna get a Patreon going. Yes. Ryder and Chris saves the world.
And we need someone to make it into a game. So if anyone out there is a game creator, like let's do this thing. Let's make it happen. I have this thing where I realized at some point that Godzilla is a good guy. And I didn't know that. I thought Godzilla was a bad guy. Godzilla is like the Earth's guardian, sent here to protect, right? Am I right?
Yeah, that's kind of what. I haven't seen the new movie. Have you seen the new movie,
I
Godzilla?
have, but I suck at like really retaining things like that because I'm like, I don't know, dragons and fire, it's fun. And then my brain's like, hey, we don't need that anymore. And as soon as it's over, I push it out.
I mean, if anything, it's kind of showing us that destruction has to come regardless, right? Everything has to be kind of dismantled and destroyed for something new to be built. Now, whether that's a positive one or a negative one, it's up in the air. But it kind of has to be all collapsed and brought to its knees for us to ascend or get out of the madness of this constructed, fucked up reality that we have inadvertently created and complied to. So, I would look at him as a good guy. I need to rewatch the movies though. I really like the remake with Bryan Cranston. You saw that one, right?
I mean, I think I did. I seriously am the worst at remembering anything about movies. I just
Well,
like
spoiler
ghosts on my
alert,
brain.
he dies like 3/4 of the way through, which really saddened me because Bryan Cranston is a phenomenal freaking actor. But yeah, I need to rewatch. The Godzilla movies. I've never really seen a lot of the earlier ones, the cheesy CCP
CDs.
ones.
Yeah, yeah. The propaganda ones. Well,
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston is also an excellent audio actor. By the way, he reads audiobooks, and he read The Things They Carry. So if anybody wants a good audiobook, it's a fantastic book, and he's a fantastic narrator. So check
I would
it
listen
out.
to him do anything. Yeah, like crazy.
I threw him on in the classroom because we read that book in class, and I always had kids read along with the audio. And I threw him on it. Like half the class was like, "Is that Walter White?" Or no, Walter White? Is that his name? In
Yeah,
Breaking
yeah,
Bad?
it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
But is that Walter White? I'm like, I don't know who Walter White is. It says here his name is whatever you just said his name was. Cranston? Whatever. And I was like, no, it says here his name's this. They're like, yeah, Walter White. You don't know Walter White? And I'm like, no, who's Walter White? They're like, Breaking Bad, Miss Brown, you have to watch it. I'm like, okay, well, let's read now. But but that's what got me to watch Breaking Bad too. So it was worth it. He's cool.
You know what's really weird about that? It's like there's certain things that if you kind of miss, like they didn't really shame you about it, but like being shamed for like missing something like that, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things like that happen in our world and in our reality that if you miss them, like people look at you like you're crazy, right?
Absolutely.
Like Game of Thrones is one of those. Breaking Bad's one of them. The Wire is one of them. There's a bunch of them. You know, Sopranos is another one. You know, so it's like, and I've done it too. I have, you know, talked to people, and especially like with Star Wars and stuff. Like when people haven't seen Star Wars, I'm like, what planet are you living on? You know, because that's something that I feel like everyone should have seen. So I'm not, you know, innocent in the whole thing, but it's like, why is that? Like, I don't get it. Is it like such a cultural? Fuck, I can't even talk. A cultural. Fuck, I still can't say it. Is it a culture thing, or is it something else that's been kind of programmed into our psyche, right? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think there might be some, now that you're saying it, talking about it, I think there might almost be like it's not like misery needs company, but it's like a guilt thing. Like, you have to do this too because I did it. And part of me knows that it was like maybe a waste of my time or something. You have to validate it with me by joining me in it. Because I had this woman who I worked for, I tutored her daughter, and she was, every time I saw her, have you seen da-da-da-da? I'm like, no, I haven't probably seen anything you've seen. Like, I don't watch things. I'm really bad at it. I have to be with someone who literally like forces me to sit down and watch the thing, and then I'll watch the thing. And it's really rare that those people are going to have the same taste as you, upper middle class woman. Like, that's just very unlikely to happen every single week. Have you seen da-da-da? No, I haven't seen it. Have you seen it? Finally, it was on Downton Abbey. It was Downton Abbey. She was like obsessed. She's like, have you seen Downton Abbey yet? I'm like, no. She's like, you have to. I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to. Next week, have you seen Downton Abbey? No. Next week, have you seen? No. Finally, she put the discs in my hand. She's like, I bought these. Go watch them. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, now I have to watch these. Yeah. And then I watched every single one and fucking loved it. And then I hated myself for watching and loving Downton Abbey because I never wanted to. Like, that, I think she needed that validation, and I fucking codependently gave it to her.
You know what I really like? I actually really like HBO and Hulu better than I like Netflix, right? Because the episodes come out like weekly, right? So you can like savor the flavor on them. Like with Netflix, they just all drop all at the same time, you know? So you have the entire new season to watch, and you just end up sitting there for 3 freaking days doing nothing and watching the entire thing.
Like,
you know,
I
and I think that they
could have done like this and this and this. I did nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was guilty of that the past 2 days. I watched the whole season, the new season of You. I'm just like sitting there, and I love it. I'm like, holy shit, this is so good. But then I'm like, oh man, I feel so shitty after it's over that I've just wasted all of my time sitting on the couch watching this new series that I could be doing other things.
It's bad. I lately, and I've said this before, you know, like with electronics in general, like we should take breaks and we should whatever. And then I realized, like, I'm not fucking doing that ever. And so the other day I was like, I'm not touching my phone. I mean, I did like the few things I knew I had to do in the morning. And I was like, I'm not touching my phone all day, period. I'm turning it off. Actually, I don't care if people are calling me, texting me, whatever. I'm not touching my fucking phone. And I'm not sitting in front of my fucking computer. And I'm not going to watch TV, and I'm going to do other shit. And I was like, calmer and like more centered than I've been in so long. And I was like, fuck, I need to do this more often. We all need to do it. Like, just set days or pick days where you just like purposely unplug, literally. I know people who do it for like a week at a time, which I think is very cool. But you'd have to be on like vacation or something because there's shit we need to do. But I think it's smart. We get too lost in this shit.
Yeah, it is really smart because our technology has really been hijacked and turned upside down and working against us a lot of the times, you know? And it's damaging us on a level that we don't even take into consideration a lot of the times. And it's been used to destroy our imagination, you know, take away our manifestation abilities. And who knows what they're putting into these things to us at nighttime too, you know what I mean? Everyone sleeps in the bed with their phone beside their head, you know, who knows what that's doing to us subconsciously in our dream state and in the astral realm, you know? So it's like, but it's so hard to get away from it. And they've done that on purpose, right? I'm under the impression that this is something that I've discovered in the past couple of months, is that all of the ancient sites across the planet were actually a technology. They were a device, right?
Right.
And there was a certain the Mayan pyramid complex in Mexico was actually the computer part of the technology, right? It was making it run as the motherboard of the all the sites being lined up together, because they all do line up. If you were to, you know, look at the ley lines of the planet, you can attach all of them all together. They all line up perfectly. So like, what's the reason for that? And I think that that's what it originally was, right? It was like an advanced ancient technology, right? And I don't really know exactly what it was used for, but I think that it had to do with AI and how they controlled AI. And then this AI created a net around the planet, and the net like encompassed the entire planet. And it was also in charge of the reincarnation cycle that's been on the planet. We've been placed here, you know, we're in a freaking prison planet, and it's very, very difficult to escape because of this AI system. But anyway, it got destroyed. All of the pyramid complexes, all the sacred sites on the planet, all got destroyed. They got wiped out and their technology ripped from them. And we were in this kind of like limbo state where we had kind of been abandoned, right? And that's where we kind of became these hunters and gatherer kind of people, the cavemen that everyone refers to back, you know, 2, 3, 4,000 years ago, you know, that we were just nothing but living in caves. Well, that's the time period that they're living, that they're talking about when they're talking about that. They're talking about the fall of Atlantis and the fall of Lemuria and all the sacred sites around the planet. And we were left in limbo for up until the early 1900s. And whenever they came back, these beings that gave us the technology to, well, the ones that created the sacred sites and built the AI system, they came back with a new idea, right? And that idea was to, instead of building all of these giant megalithic sites across the planet, because they can be destroyed and they can be taken over, they decided to give us that in our homes and in our pockets, right? So it's almost dang near impossible to destroy and get rid of. You know, we're basically, you know, we're all attached, we're all connected artificially through our devices, and it's all on a grid, just like they were gridded out, the sacred sites were gridded out way back 4,000 to 5,000 years ago. They just developed a completely different new plan with a different script.
Yeah, I'm not with you completely on the prison aspects of it, or like who built this stuff, but I'm totally with you on the tech aspect of it, that it did things that we don't understand yet still. and like that antiquitech idea, you know, like these ancient chapels especially, or that's what we're told they are now, right, have these very specific designs, and they're very concurrent. And we've done and I've done an episode on Middle Path talking about this, that it's the antenna structure of it is the same structure as the energetic aspect of your body internally, which is called the Jedi or the Jedi, depending on who's talking and what they want to call it. It's the same exact structure, and it's like capturing the ether and channeling it to where and for what, I don't know. Like, maybe some people have posited that if you're sitting in this cathedral and you're using these organs, that the cymatics are using the energy captured from the ether through these Jedi to like channel it into all the people there. Maybe for nefarious reasons, to program them to be like, go fucking get the food and bring it to your masters or whatever. Maybe for beautiful reasons, to like heal everyone so that no one has any fucking illness, and like anything that, you know, in your mental state is like beautiful and uplifted. And I'm just like, damn, like I feel like most people feel like we came from something more, or there was something more advanced and more, again, whether it was positive or negative, that there was something more advanced at least going on, and that we were all connected to it somehow, and it got destroyed and crumpled, and here we are in the fucking rubble of that, whatever that was, and we don't even fucking know, and we have not, we're like, let's plug in a wire into a thing, and like how like shitty is that compared to being able to just like channel ether and like do anything with it, you know, like Nikola Tesla knew. We're just fucking struggling through the mud here.
Yeah, that they were built for good reasons, like you just stated. They were built for harmonious reasons and to heal us. But the problem occurred whenever it was taken over and hijacked by nefarious beings, and that's what I've been shown when it started to collapse. And then and then it kind of just progressed from there. And then, you know, we were in the whole limbo state. But let's go back to what you said about the prison thing. Why? Because this is interesting. I like talking to people about this. Why do you think that we're not in a prison?
I don't pretend to know. I just know my own soul well enough to know that my soul is not imprisoned. Is everyone else here, all the NPCs imprisoned here? Maybe. But I came here for a reason, and I can leave anytime I want. And I've already left before, and then I've come back. So I know I'm not imprisoned. I think that there's something about here that could be imprisoning. But what I really understand, the truth of this place, is literally exactly middle in the center and free of free will is a real thing here. So did somebody come here and create through their own free will something so attractive and something so what would be the right word, like numbing or whatever, for beings to be able to be like, yeah, I want to be numb and I want to just be controlled, and then they've submitted to that? Because I know that it looks like a lot of people have chosen to give up their free will to be a slave to a system and to something else. So that seems like exceptionally not just possible but actually happening. But does that mean that everything here is that, and that's all this place is? I don't think so. I think my personal lived experience proves again that at least I'm not a part of a prison. So what, do you know what I mean? I think that both could be happening, but I'm not going to say one way or another whether this is there are no aspects of this place that are imprisoning. That seems like untrue to me. It seems very obvious that there are. Did that make sense?
No, it makes total sense.
Okay.
Do you think that we live in a simulation though?
Well, again, this is like a word that works no matter what way you're looking at it. Is it a simulation? I mean, it's holofractal, but does that mean anything other than that it's holofractal? Like, what is a simulation? Simulation, here's the thing. The simulation implies that there's something outside of the simulation that's looking in and having done all the programming and shit. And again, I've experienced myself as that. So, am I stuck in this simulation? No, but am I experiencing a holofractal reality? Yeah. So it's beyond that something. Does that mean I'm in prison here? No. Does that make sense? It's like this, the word simulation makes sense to me, but the implication that means that we're stuck in it and that's all that we could experience, that doesn't make sense to me because I've experienced otherwise.
That's super interesting. And I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, we can have these kinds of conversations and have different thoughts, ideas, and beliefs, right? We can all get along, you know? So I mean, what I've kind of been shown about this is that we are in a simulation and that absolutely none of this is real, right? It's only perceived real through our perception, and we are in physical bodies, right? And the only reason for anybody to be on this planet is because we're prisoners, right? And we're stuck here. There's only a few reasons for anyone to be here, right? You're either a rebel to the system, you can't get along out in the universe, you're a robot, or you're a cyborg, or you're a clone, right? And that's just from the information that I perceive. I'm definitely open to what you're saying too, because it also makes sense, and anything that I can logically wrap my brain around that makes sense to me, then I can get on board with, right? But it just seems really weird to me, Lindsay, that we don't come back with any of our memories, right? It's either we're stuck here or something is wiping us whenever we come back, right? And we don't have the choice to remember. And that's the part of the free will that we don't have. We don't have the free will to remember the thousands of lives that we have lived before we've even been here.
Then how come I've remembered a bunch of them and so have a lot of people?
Yeah, but you don't come in with them. Did you come in with them?
I probably did. I mean, I genuinely remember as a child understanding a lot more than I should have about what was going on and what people were doing and why they were doing it and why I was here and all of that. And so I feel like a lot of people have talked about that age of 7 or so, right? When your brainwave state changes. And I genuinely think that's about when you start to really forget what happened before that and what you came in with. I think you start to forget before then, but I feel like you come in knowing a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. And I remember time in between lives, and I remember choosing to come back, and I remember being excited about it. And I also remember sometimes being worried about, or, not worried isn't the right word, but like knowing like this one's going to hurt a little bit. Like, and I don't know, for me, I remember part of the purpose of this at least. And I know there's still more, again, because I've experienced then too, that being behind this experience that like is beyond description, that can't be really named or understood in words, but that when you experience, you're like, oh, fuck, yeah, that. Like, none of this fucking has ever mattered at all. And this is just like a really weird game I chose to play for whatever reason. And I kind of understand part of the reasons I chose to play it too. But when I experienced that level of being, it was almost like, oh yeah, now you get it. Now you remember. I don't know even how to express it. It's hard to describe.
No, I came in with a lot of stuff like that, but it had nothing to do with, past lives and stuff like that. I was more psychic. I was more in tuned because I think whenever you first come in, you're closest to the creator, or whatever you want to call it, source, whatever that you can possibly be, right? So all these things are going to be automatically open and accessible to you, but the issue is navigating around all of the other bullshit in the world, right? And your parents and everybody trying to lock you into this reality and believing in yourself, because that's what I was told whenever I was younger, is that there was something wrong with me because I was different.
See,
right?
that's fucked up.
That I was seeing translucent beings in my room, and that something was wrong with me, that something was wrong with my eyes. And whenever I could tell somebody that something was going to happen before it was going to happen, it freaked them out. I could tell them that something was going to play on the radio before it played on the radio, and I would get it right every single time.
They were scared.
And because it's weird how people, if they've never experienced something, they tend to discredit it or be fearful of it or be scared of it, and my parents were like, oh yeah, there's something, I mean, and you're really actually screwed either way you go, Lindsay, because even because what happened to me was they were like, oh yeah, there's something wrong with him. Take him to the doctor. There's something wrong with his eyes, right? So I go to the doctor. The doctor was actually really cool, really chill. I don't really know how I remember a lot of this. I think it was actually came from a regression, but the doctor was really cool. He gave me like this little card that had these little dots and stuff on it. And he was like, can you make the dots pop off of the card? And of course, I could, but I had enough awareness to say no, that I couldn't, and then I just kind of stopped talking about it, and I, kept everything to myself, and
How old were you when that happened?
oh my gosh, probably like 7 or 8.
Do you think he was looking for special kids, or was it like, what was the dot thing? Was he trying to figure out if you had like abilities or something?
Yeah.
Because I had some shit happen when I was a kid that I look back and I'm like, who are those people? And what were they trying to find out about me? Like, that was weird. Do you think it was like that?
That's exactly what it was. And I've just now discovered that in the past couple of months that I've been looking back on it and talking to other people about it, about some of these kinds of special programs that they put people into that have certain kinds of abilities when they're younger. And that was a test. And I really don't know.
But you lied
if
about
I actually,
it. You were like, you're not supposed to know I'm here.
yeah.
Right?
And it is kind of inevitably shut me down to that aspect of it too, but I still have that ability. I can still do that. I can still see things with my third eye. I can still split stuff apart and make things see as they really are, right?
Right.
And I've just now discovered exactly what that was in the past 2 or 3 months, because I'm still trying to figure out my journey. I'm still learning and figuring a bunch of different things out. But yeah, that's what I discovered that I was doing, is that I came into this reality with my third eye completely open. Yes. And I was able to see things that other people couldn't see. I was able to predict things that other people couldn't. I was able to know things other people didn't know. And it sucks that I just now discovered that, but I'm trying to go back and really tap into it and do it all over again now that I have the awareness of what it is. And it's not that I'm a freak or that, I am different than everyone else. Everyone's different, right? But, I just needed to harness that ability for myself and learn that I'm not a bad person for, doing it, because that's what they do. They make you look like you're a freak. I don't know, the words aren't really coming to me right now, but that's what they do to kind of shut you down and lock you in and indoctrinate you into being like everyone else. And I was very fortunate in that aspect that I didn't get a lot of the treatment that other kids got. My mom was very homeopathic. I never really went to the doctor ever, maybe 2 or 3 times. I wasn't exposed to fluoride whenever I was younger. I never drank out of the tap water. I've never been vaccinated against anything. Nice. So I'm very, clean, lucky in that aspect. And I'm trying my best not to waste it. I'm trying to get back to those abilities and unlock that within me, because I don't think it's going to come back until I'm 100% ready for it, and it not be so fucking overwhelming, because it was really overwhelming and it led me down a really negative and dark path where I've almost died like 5 to 6 times. So I'm very lucky that I'm here. But yeah, that was just a little backstory on me. Sorry, I went on a little rant.
I love it, because that's exactly the type of thing that I like to talk about, people about their childhood and their path, because this your specific story is very similar to mine, actually. And it's not, what do I want to say? That it seems to me like people who are like us have a very similar story every time and have that exact same thing. Whether this is the other thing, is the more we're talking about it, the more we're really remembering it, because we have suppressed it and put it away. You know, like in Inception, did you see Inception? Here's one of the movies I
Yes,
remember.
love Inception.
You know that concept of like you're walking around, I guess it's in the Matrix too, where you're walking around and if you're presenting a certain energy or whatever, like everything starts to notice you and now it's going to get trained on you and then attack you. And like, I feel like that's our reality for real. Like we're walking around and we're like, no, you can fucking talk to clouds and trees and shit, and there's like a ghost right there, and here's a fucking demon, and there's an angel, and like, or whatever the fuck, like, and people are like, kill it with fire, like, push it out, because they're terrified. They're terrified of, actually, what I really think they're terrified of is of finding this within themselves, because then they would be responsible for 100% of their reality, and they would have to change themselves in the world. And they don't, that's terrifying, and so they're scared. They're scared of what you said, actually. They're scared if they haven't experienced this. I think that's true. And I think they're even more scared when they have. Like, I've had people who have seen like UFOs and shit with me, and then 5 minutes later, that didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, I know your memory wasn't wiped because my fucking memory wasn't wiped. But you won't admit it because you're terrified of it. Even if you have experienced it, you can be so scared of it that you block it out of your own experience. That's what we're dealing with here. That level of fear and people hiding even from themselves. So you talking about unmasking that in yourself and, you know, going through that, this is like one of the bravest things you can do, is go back into that and be like, no, I want to fucking know. I want to, my third eye open. I want to experience shit, and I want to understand what the fuck I am and where the fuck I am and what I'm doing here and what we're all doing here. Like, that's brave. So good job, Ryder.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think that some of it has to do with jealousy too, you know, and people being jealous that you can do something that they can't, or you know something that they don't, but yet they don't want to do the work to even figure it out. So it's kind of like a double hypocrisy type thing going on, you know. They're jealous because they can't do it, but at the same time they don't want to do the work and do everything that it takes to and tap into themselves to actually even be able to start to get there, you know. So it's like, I don't know what they want. You know, what do you want?
Right.
You can't straddle the fence. You got to pick one side or the other, you know, or you're just going to be, you know, stuck in the middle. You know, I've always heard the saying, if you got one foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow, you're pissing all over today.
That's true.
You know, and that's what I think a lot of people are unawarely or unconsciously doing without even knowing it. And it's a sad state of reality to be in like that, you know. And I feel bad for a lot of people out there because they don't even know what's happening, and worse, they don't even know themselves. Lindsay, that's the worst thing that you can possibly the biggest burden that you could have on yourself is not even knowing who you are, and not even trying to attempt to figure out who you are. You know, that thing that you talked about on my show, I talk about it all the time. I talk to people, you know, at my job and like at my work, and people in everyday life, that about what you said on my show, that you were teaching a class and you couldn't even get any of the students to come up with a question.
Yeah.
Right. And that has blown my mind since you told me about it. And that has stuck with me this entire time. I'm like, that is the reason why everything is so screwed up in a sense, you know, because we have incompetent people that don't have common sense and critical thinking, because they can't even process enough of their brain power to even ask a question.
Yes. And it's not that they can't, it's that they have literally, I mean, and it's not really their fault. They're children. There's tons of adults like this, but they've been, you know, basically drugged into just dependence on especially electronics and that dopamine hit from fucking TikTok and shit, which now I'm promoting. But, you know, that shit is, so I'm like, what's your question? And they're like, in their head, they're like, I don't know. They're like, basically like, what can I do to make this lady shut up and go away? And in their head, they're like, what's Miley Cyrus doing? Well, how many hits do I have on that video? Like, where's the fucking, who texted me? We're like, it's all that shit is going on in their head. So they're actually asking a shitload of questions. They just aren't aware of most of them, and they won't verbalize them out loud. So it's not as hopeless as it seems. but it is actually very hope. It's very, it's not hope inspiring to realize how difficult it is to just get someone to think. There's something, people are very resistant to it when they're fed, you know, whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want, with barely any effort. And like you said, people don't want to put forth effort. They don't want to do the work. They want, a lot of times, and you probably get this too, people are like, well, how can I be more spiritual? And really what they're asking is, can you like flick a switch inside my soul and just make me have all the like experiences you describe? I'm like, no. If you're very, very lucky and you start practicing something, sometimes it can be like that for some people. Like suddenly a flood opens up, right? If you're very, it's basically, that's because you've done a whole other types of work before without really realizing it was spiritual work. Like shadow work and shit. But anyway, no, it's not a quicks. It's not a quick fix. It's not a pill, and there's no switch you can just flip on. But I also want to go back because you were talking about how dark you went, you know, and I think this is also another thing that happens to people who are like us, whatever you want to call us, people with open minds and critical thoughts and still functioning and like asking questions and, you know, able to see and hear and do things that some other people think is impossible. A lot of times we go dark. We go running. Did you do a lot of drugs? Is that what you were talking about? Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I did. And I'm not ashamed of it because it's created the person, you know, that I am today. I was a heroin addict for 5 years.
Wow, and you got off heroin. That's an amazing feat. Good job.
Thank you so much. I don't know really how I did it. It was something with the universe. I mean, I always knew that I was meant to do something special, you know, that I was way more than my surroundings and the people that I had around me, and that I was meant to do something great with my life. And I kind of got wrapped up into the negative crowd because, again, I was experiencing all these things. I was getting all these down life, and for sure they never heard in their life. You know, I never read any books. I never watched any videos. You know, this was really when, you know, there wasn't very many people even talking about this kind of thing. So I don't even know where I would have found it if I even tried, you know? So whenever I started talking about these things again, I inevitably shut it down because all the information just kind of folded in upon itself. I was trying to get through to fundamentalist Christian people, right? And never do that.
It's never gonna work.
Ever.
No. I mean, you can do it if you just want a weird game to play, but not if you want actual results.
Yeah, and I'm picking apart everything, and I'm, you know, asking questions that nobody has the answers to, you know. So what do? They go on the defensive, and then they start attacking you and character assassinating you and calling you crazy. So this was happening to me all around, all of my friends, my family, and it just imploded upon itself. And I was like, I just need to, these people aren't getting it. They don't understand. And I just went down the drug route, and because I wanted to escape, you know, I wanted to get out of the fake bullshit that they had been propping up their entire lives, because I knew that there was way more out there that we couldn't even hardly perceive, that very few could really perceive. And I went down the drug route for 5 years. I OD'd 5 times.
Wow.
And then tried to go to treatment, went to treatment. Couldn't make it out of treatment.
Fucking hate treatment.
And then finally moved out to California, and been out here for 4 years now, and I've created my own life. I don't take any pharmaceuticals at all. Only thing that I take is melatonin to go to sleep and some CBD. That's it. And yeah, it's been a hell of a journey, and it's been hard, and it's been rough. And I am very lucky that I was able to make it out, because the statistics for heroin addiction is crazily staggering. And
slim to none.
Yeah. And there's only only 4% of heroin addicts actually stay sober and never use again. So
Yeah.
I'm part of that 4%, and I'm
Go
very grateful
Ryder.
and very lucky that I'm on my path and I'm doing what I love and talking to lovely people like yourself, and trying to have a great time and help people, and not only help people, but in return, help myself, because I think that that's really what all this is about. And if I help myself, then if someone else sees help in that, then great, and perfect. That's what I want, but in the end, it's really for me, and I'm not saying that to sound selfish, because it's not a selfish thing at all. I went my whole life not being able to talk about different kinds of thoughts, ideas, and beliefs, and now I have the ability to do that. And now it's just in front of an audience. So I'm very grateful to be in the position that I am. And I'm really grateful that you brought me on your show. So,
yeah. I'm grateful you're alive and here to share this story, because it's really important, I think, too, just for anyone to hear if they're out there struggling with any kind of addiction, that you can actually do it. And I would like to talk more about that too, but especially to people who do feel exactly like that, and maybe had their own struggles with drugs of various different kinds. And I did. I think most of our audience here did. I genuinely, because a lot of us had that same experience too, of like, wow, well, I guess the world is fucked and nobody fucking cares and nobody's gonna do shit about it. So like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Probably just drugs. Like, what else is there to do? Like, you're literally hopeless. And that's part of it, in addition to whatever traumas we suffered that we were running from and hiding from. And so it's important for people to hear both that they're not alone in that, and that a lot of us turned that direction and did that for the exact same reasons or similar reasons, but also that you can heal from it and come back from it. And I often, people who haven't known me that long will be stunned at my darkness, because I'm so happy and healthy now. And they're like, well, how the fuck did you come from that to this? And I'm like, ooh, well, let me tell you. But this road, I think, involves, like you said, a lot of self-healing, and this is really for you. And and it's not selfish, because if you didn't do that, it wouldn't fucking matter, and you couldn't share it with anyone anyways. So I'd love to hear about that, because I think with the recovery thing, a lot of times we get stuck in the 12-step stuff, which is cool. There's a lot of really great shit in there. And then there's also, I think, places where it just fucking fails and falls short, and there's a deeper level of healing that needs to happen. And did you find that you really had to go deep and like heal some psychological roots of addiction in order to really be free from it?
Yes, I really did. And it has been super freaking hard. Anything that I'm about to say right now, I might make it sound easy, but it is not easy at all. It is very difficult. And I try and explain a lot of this to people, but it's hard for them to wrap their brains and their minds around it, because a lot of people that I talk to are in early sobriety, and they don't really want to hear a lot of the shit that I have to say, because it's too overwhelming. And if you get too overwhelming on people that are early sober, it actually does the opposite of what you're trying to do, and the information again will just implode upon itself, and then you're stuck right back in the same fucked up cycle that you started in.
Good point.
So where this really started with me is that you're exactly right with AA and NA. There's a lot of good things in there, but they get a lot wrong, and they don't tend to explain any of it, right? They just regurgitate bullshit that they've heard 20 other people say before them, and they get up there and act like it's something new, right? But what they don't tell you is that if you just stay fucking sober, which again is a very hard thing to do.
Easier said than done, yeah.
But if you do, the 12 steps will come naturally and organically.
That's true. That's a great point.
They will. I've seen it happen time and time and time again in my life. I was aware of the 12 steps, never worked them.
Yeah.
Right. But I know what all of them are. Right. And the longer that I stayed sober, the more the universe actually supplied me with the tools and the ability and opportunity to fix all the bullshit from my past. right? Organically and naturally. And that's where NA and AA fucks up a lot, Lindsay, is because they want to force it all and make people do it, not on their time, not on their time, not on the universe's time. Just do it and do it now. Right. And that might work for some people. Again, if you want to try it, right? Do it. It helps some people stay sober. But for me, that didn't help at all. Right. I had to let it come naturally. You know, the whole amends process that people talk about in NA and AA, they got it all backwards, right? They want to make it about, it's the other person, right? You got to get forgiveness from the other person in order to heal yourself. And that is so backwards. It's unfreaking believable, right? It doesn't matter if the other person forgives you or not, right? You have to forgive yourself. And when you forgive yourself, a weight gets lifted up off of your shoulders, right? And things start to change in your life, because if you're an addict and you're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict, whatever it is, you know, that you are, there's a lot of fucked up shit that we've probably done, right? You don't even really have to be an addict to do fucked up shit, right? So how are you going to go make amends for something or for someone that's dead, right? Or that's passed away?
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to make amends to freaking Walmart for stealing all of their shit? You know what I mean? Or whatever it is that you did. Someone moved away. You don't have contact with them. You don't have their phone number anymore. You've lost, you don't even know where they are. How are you going to make amends with them? I'll tell you how you do it. You forgive yourself and you cut that cord, that energetic cord that you've had attached to you and that memory, that thought, that idea, that whatever that trauma is. You cut that and you do it over and over and over and over again, right? However many times it takes. And I promise you, if you do that enough, that thought, idea, belief, memory, trauma, whatever it is, will no longer bother you because you've released it. You've let it go. And this comes from imagination, right? We have to use our imagination when it comes to this. And that's where meditation and doing these kinds of things are very critical in the recovery process, right? So what you do is you imagine whatever the trauma is, whatever the difficult situation, the negative thought, idea, belief, something that you did that was fucked up to somebody, emotionally, physically, whatever, your parents, someone that even wronged you. Maybe someone did something bad to you and you're not over it. You know, I've had a lot of shit that's happened to me, right? But what I do is I lay down, I do my meditation, and it's very important to do your meditation, right? It's very critical to lay down, try and silence everything, especially in the beginning. I know I talk about that you don't need to be, you know, laying down and doing all this shit. Well, you don't, but that's a very advanced form of meditation where you can do it while you're doing other shit, right? Yeah. But whenever you're first starting out, you need to lay down. Yeah. You need to get quiet. You need to turn everything off. You need to put freaking blindfold on, whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable, right? You lay down and you try and clear everything from your mind, right? And whenever you do that, inevitably something negative is going to pop up, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It can be whatever, you know? And it could be someone calling you a shitty name in grade school. You know, trauma doesn't have to be something huge. You know, it could be something very small that's affected us for our entire lives, and we have no idea why. But something is going to come up, and whenever it comes up, there's a few different ways that you can do this. This is just the way that I do it. I imagine a thought, memory, idea, trauma, whatever it is in my head, and then I imagine a cord attached to that trauma, and then I imagine it attached to me, right? And then I imagine the giant, biggest pair of fucking shears that you could possibly imagine, probably one of those ones that, you know, they cut red ribbons for opening of a store, you know, and I just imagine me cutting that cord. And then I say some kind of affirmation behind it. I'm like, thank you for showing me this, but you no longer serve my highest and best good anymore. It's time for you to go. And it doesn't have to be exactly like that. It can be whatever you want it to be, but that has done wonders for me. And it doesn't have to be the cord and the big pair of shears either. It can be however you want it to be, as long as you're letting go of it. It can be you placing that memory trauma thought on a boat, and then it's docked to the side of the dock, and you let go of the rope, and then you just watch the memory float down the river or the ocean or whatever you want it to be. It could be the thought, memory, idea as holding it in your hand, and you're on the edge of a giant cliff or a freaking volcano, and you just drop it into the volcano. But it's important that you say something too, right? And show your gratitude, because negative shit happens to us all the time. It's just the way that we perceive it. We can either perceive it in a positive or a negative way, right? But it's important to take those negative things and do your best to flip them into something positive and let them go. And when you do that, that's going to do wonders for your life. And all the things that's been bugging you, the weight that you've been holding on your shoulders and carrying on your back for fucking years, is going to be gone. But again, it's not just going to be one day, right? You're not just going to be able to do this once and then the next day you wake up and everything's perfect and fine. That's not the way that it works, right? Because there's going to be a ton of shit, and the same memory and the same thought might come back to you. I've cut cords with shit several times, probably like 20, 30 times I've done to the same exact trauma, but now I no longer have it. The key is persistence, patience, and practice, right?
And brutal.
Don't give up.
And
keep going.
And brutal.
Keep getting rid of the shit that no longer serves your highest and best good.
Yeah, and brutal honesty as part of that, when you're like, oh, I did it, and so it's done now, la, 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 and you're like not honest with yourself about how you actually feel, that's not going to serve you either. And I love that description of that version of that self-healing, and I have a lot of various ones that I use for the same purpose, and I bet people out there are like, oh, that's a lot like this. There's so many of these that will serve you in the same way of literally time traveling back to the place and the time or the person and the thing, and healing it, not just letting it sit there and fester for the rest of your life. You can't undo it. You can't literally go back in time and stop it from happening, but you can go back in time and bring healing there and release it. So it's no longer stuck in your energetic aura, space, psyche, whatever you want to call it. And it's not holding you back anymore. It's not providing blocking energy for you anymore. You're freeing yourself, really. And again, like you said, this is a selfish thing truly in itself, but in freeing yourself from that, now you're more open to unleash who knows what creative energy and experience and healing for other people as well. But I wanted to ask you too, because in AA, I don't know if you've ever heard this, because when I heard this, it blew my mind. I spent, I don't know how many years in AA, I never even got a coin. They finally went and got a 24-hour coin, because that was the farthest I ever went. Because I was like, they were like, just get to 30, we can give you a 30-day coin. And I was like, okay. And I'd get to 27 even one time, and then I'm like, fucked up. And they're like, fine. But it's so 6 years later, they're like, we finally got you a coin. I'm like, I don't deserve one. And they're like, you deserve this one. You've hit it a lot. I was like, what is it? They're like, 24 hours. I'm like, I don't know if this is a joke, if I should be honored or but anyways, in AA, I learned Bill W. actually, I think first and foremost was a doctor, right? And he first and foremost promoted nutrition. And if you actually fuck with your nutrition at the same time as you're healing from this shit, there's things that are chronically low in people who are, especially alcoholics, but addicted to anything. So if you can high dose vitamin C, and do your research, figure it out. I'm supposed to tell you to talk to your doctor or whatever. But look at your own specific situation and find out what's good for you. But they just cut that shit out. And I'm like, this is a fucking conspiracy. Who hid the nutrition aspects of this program, which probably combined with the steps really can save a lot of lives. And we instead are just letting people languor and I'm like, I went to AA meetings honestly to like smoke cigarettes, drink coffee, and brag about drug exploits. Like, that's not why you should be going to AA, but this is like what I got out of it for the most part until I finally healed myself. But how quickly could you heal even more people if you still had that nutrition aspect in there? I don't know if you use nutrition at all for yourself, or if that's something you focus on, or if you knew that already, or where you're at with all that.
100%. I take all kinds of supplements, but also really quick, I don't think that it's in the big book, but it might be in some of Bill W.'s notes. It's probably more likely that it's in his notes, but he also endorsed psychedelic experiences.
Oh, rad. Like
LSD and
the real
psilocybin.
healers.
Yeah, mushrooms. And that's something that a lot of people tend to look over as well. The healing aspects of plant medicines, right? Like they can do wonders for you, and they can change your life for the better. And a lot of people definitely look over them in the use everywhere surrounding anything, but really in the field of addiction.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much proof that ibogaine and ayahuasca ceremonies can heal people,
especially with heroin,
of their addiction.
Right?
Yes,
yeah.
Heroin addiction for sure. Ibogaine has been the number one plant medicine for heroin addiction for a really long time.
Like the only thing that's actually effective. Well, I guess ayahuasca too, but yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I take all kinds of things. I take vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin K2, B12, vitamin B complex, and I also have a couple of C60 purple powers up there that I take a swig of every week or so. And then I also, I don't know if I should say, well, fuck it. I also microdose mushrooms once a week. And that is very big help for depression, anxiety, opens up your throat chakra, helps you perceive things that you probably would never perceive. It's not a actual psychedelic experience. It's just an uplifting experience. I would really consider looking into microdosing mushrooms for anyone that's struggling with depression, anxiety. But again, I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me as a doctor. But that's really helped me in my life. And the thing about all of it is moderation, and it comes down to knowing yourself, right? I don't take everything every day, right? I'm actually very intuitive about it.
Yeah.
Right, because I know my body and what my body needs. I don't go and take vitamin C, vitamin B, all that stuff every single day. Right, I actually just go to my counter, I look at it, and I'm like, what do I need today? And then I intuitively pick what I need, and then I take it.
Yeah.
It's just about figuring yourself out and knowing what you can handle and what you can't handle and what your body needs, because our body reacts to everything, right? It's just having the awareness what part of our body needs what. It's like whenever you eat something that's not good for you, right? You get a stomach ache. But our body is also subtly telling us other things as well, not just with food. It's telling us where we're deficient in a lot of different things. It's just bringing your awareness to that, and then also knowing what part of your body feels what and what you're going through, right? Like I was talking to this with Kent on my 1-year anniversary show last Tuesday.
Congratulations on a year.
Thank you. I appreciate you a lot. It's been an amazing process. But I was talking to him about okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Whenever you have intuition about something, right? Whenever you might feel like something's off about something, or it doesn't even have to be off. It could be even a good thing. Where do you normally feel that on your body? Is there a specific place that you could think of just right off the top of your head? Where where that place that would be that you'd be feeling that.
Yes, I actually teach what I call bodily knowing, and all these different things have a different place in my body, but the one you're specifically describing is in my lower abdomen.
Yes. Every time. Now, whenever you're feeling fear, where can you pinpoint on the body where the fear is coming from for you individually? I know everyone's different.
Mine would
but where
be
does fear?
in my upper heart, chest area, and lower throat area.
Yes.
I had to train myself to get back in my body, so I got a little bit of progress there in the past handful of years.
That's amazing, and I don't think very many people
know
know
we're
that.
trained the opposite. We're like, exit your body, leave your body, don't pay attention to your body, like fuck your body. Like, it took me a while, but not just because of PTSD and actual disassociation, but because I think that's our culture, is to not be connected to our body. You know what I mean? Don't be in your body. That's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, they don't want us to have the awareness of these things so that we can.
Body knows, like you're saying.
It does 100%. It reacts and it tells you what you need and what you don't need. And instead of actually bringing the awareness to that, instead of actually going to a fucking doctor, Lindsay, and someone telling you these kinds of things, they go in with some kind of symptom or issue or depression or anxiety or some shit like that, and they give them all kinds of fucking meds.
None of them work.
And they don't work. They're just putting a fucking Band-Aid on the problem, right? And whenever that Band-Aid busts, you have a whole shitload of things that's going to come spewing out, and it's going to make it 100 times worse.
Yeah.
You know, but it's so difficult to try and explain that to people, right? Because they've been so indoctrinated into the medical aspect of all. We're on Rockfin, right? We're not on YouTube, right?
We are on YouTube, but I can cut YouTube right now. And if you're on YouTube, just head over to Rockfan and the link is right below you. We love you, and we'll see you on the place where we can actually speak freely. Bye-bye.